Ladies and gentlemen, big terror news.
Hey, good and welcome back to Bright Hairy News, the BHN Friday edition with myself and Magenta. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's been a nice sunny day here today in Wellington, which is obviously nice after all the bad weather we've been having.
Nice. Did you get blown around much yesterday? Did you leave the house?
Nah, I didn't leave the house yesterday. And I went out the day before and it was still pretty windy, but yeah, definitely I don't think we're in a spot that is quite as bad as some of the other people, especially even in the Discord that I've seen. So I'm just
Are you like in
feeling
a
lucky.
valley? Is it because you're like in a valley?
Yeah, there's hills and all of that kind of stuff, so it definitely would funnel other directions. So yeah, no, we're pretty good where we are. It was still very windy though. The trees were getting real bendy out the front. Very bendy. Yes.
Scary.
How about you? Did you get impacted by the weather?
No. We had a great day.
Nice.
It was sunny. There was minimal. It was just like a windy day. There wasn't anything crazy happening, in my opinion. That said, we were very lucky, and because we're quite central of Christchurch, we have lots of buildings and things to stop the wind in its path. But certainly, lots of areas around us in the Canberra Plains and things got hit pretty hard. So, yeah. So not great for pretty much everyone around us, but no, we were very lucky that we was just a chill day, really, nothing to report.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I would say that actually Tuesday was worse. We had big gusts come through on Tuesday, and my husband for some reason decided to bike because it was tailwind there and from work. To and from work, and I prefer biking when I head out places, and so I also biked because it was a nice sunny day. And I have a really big, heavy e-bike, and I almost got pushed off. It was terrifying. The crosswind was awful. So I would say Tuesday for me was a windier day than yesterday, but not fun. So
yes, it's been fucking wild, honestly. It's just been wild. Between the mega strike and the fucking mega weather events, it's definitely been a week.
It has been a week. Speaking of strikes, I caught up with Duncan Webb yesterday. We had a bit of a in-person interview, in fact, which was quite cool.
Nice.
Was hoping to meet with them at the strikes, but the Christchurch rally obviously got cancelled. For safety reasons, so I managed to catch him at his office before it got too windy in the afternoon, and so we'll play that tonight. It was a bit of it's been a bit of a week for Duncan, where he announced that he's not running for re-election next year, which is sad.
I saw that. Very sad.
Yeah, but that wasn't the reason that I reached out to him. It was because of the strikes. Have a chat, but so we talked about both of those things anyway, and got some insights about Labour and what they're up to, and talked about sort of the Public Service Commission and their blatant attacks, I guess, on people, the public servants striking this week, and the legalities around a government department showing its partisanship, I guess. And then also tonight we've got, we'll also show a bit of the strike stuff that we missed out on showing yesterday because we didn't have a show. Pat and Chewie are... Pat specifically didn't have any power, therefore didn't have any internet.
Yeah, that was pretty hardcore. I was like, damn, poor Pat.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. And we'll look at James Meagher making some comments about stemming the flow of submissions. trying
one
to
way to
stop
put
us from exercising our democratic rights and participation. And there's a new podcast under the Herald umbrella with Miriam Kamo and someone whose name I don't know and should probably find out, called The Elephant. And the idea is the big elephant in the room. And we'll have a look at that because it was about, is ADHD real or a fad? So Magenta, I'm sure you have many thoughts on it, but it would be cool to go through it because I think there's some really good sort of points for people to, if they want to find out more, and some interesting stuff, especially around the pathologizing of mental health and disorders and like sort of different ways of looking at mental health and things from both the clinical and then the life experience side as well. So thought you might enjoy that.
Yeah, sounds like it would be interesting.
Yes. Do you want to we do our thank yous and then
Yes.
we'll do our thank yous. Oh.
Good.
Ooh.
Gotta do the honors.
I will do so. Do that. I was oohing because the UI's changed. Which is kind of interesting.
Stuff's they're definitely
Patron.
doing
The
a
patron.
lot of, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot more aesthetically
Patrons.
pleasing, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So some the Patreon not logged in, not a patron. Layout has changed. Anyways, so big thank you to our patrons who help support the show and make it possible and give us some assurance that we can continue to do amazing things in the future and keep the lights on and hopefully get Pat's lights back on. Who knows? It's not really... Who knows? Yeah, big thank you to our 600 people now. That's amazing. Thank you to all the people who've jumped on the last couple of weeks and support what we do here. You can also support us via the BHN shop, where you can get.
Also, there was 600.
merchandise.
We were only at like 450 not long ago. That's a big jump.
That's a
That's
huge
a big
jump
fucking
up.
jump.
Yeah,
that's
what I thought too.
huge. I'm like, oh, was that maybe Pancake Batter helped us out more than we thought?
I think he did.
I definitely saw. Yeah, there's definitely. I saw some people commenting at least on one of the other episodes. So, welcome. Thank you for being patrons. We really appreciate it.
And if the people we've pulled over would also like to support us further, they can become a BHN merchandise holder. I don't know what you'd call it. A BHN walking advertisement.
Rip that merch.
Rip that merch on the streets with a bright orange Chewie or a Nicky No Boats. Or the boys. Or there's 4 of us on a t-shirt or a hoodie. Classic BHN. Fuck around, find out. Tax work less, tax wealth more. You can't bomb the truth away. Still going, it seems. Not sure if Pat has updated that. And stickers, which are always a great way to show your support for us. And of course, being part of the live chat, watching our videos, sharing us around, all of that good stuff. Yeah, big thank you to everyone who supports us and makes this all possible. And pays for the memes. Yes.
And also reminds people that you can vote for us in the podcast awards by signing the little... I don't know which direction it is for you guys. It's probably that way because it's the opposite for me. But QR code. Please, thank you. Got heaps of people are in the podcast. We've obviously got Craig and Dr. Payenda, and I believe Paul Barlow's been nominated. So a lot of people to go and support whānau. And then we got some memes. I've got a mix of memes and then just pictures that BHNers have sent in of their mega strike. So I thought that would be fun to have a quick look at. Obviously, we had just Christopher Luxon being a fucking piece of shit. $8,100 or $8,500 piece of shit, something to that tune. Oh yes, and obviously Judy and her best friend, old dog killer. So, you know, Crusher Collins and dog killer gnome sounds like a great pair. Bathroom closed. AWS outage, obviously. That has been a hot topic. We got Pedro Pascal at the No Kings rally. I've seen a couple of pictures of him there. So cool. I just liked this comment because obviously the boys were watching themselves from like the day beforehand. Just, wow, don't they look younger back then? Obviously, there was no show. People were very sad. In fact, so sad. But also, someone pointed out that we were just striking. So the reason there was no show yesterday is not because Pat didn't have any electricity. It was in solidarity with all of the workers. Also, there was a comment someone made in the chat the other night about pancake batter sounding like Ethan Klein, and I just couldn't unsee that in my brain. Obviously, Chewie's been loving sharing these very close-up facials. So obviously, we had a bit of scares, a lot of jump scare warnings, and then some of our signs. I've seen smarter cabinets on Temu. My kids' teacher's pay is in the skibbity toilet.
You.
We'll be less activists if you be less shit. I would like there to be teachers in 2038. No country for public servants. I love some of the graphics people have got are really well done. So, I think this might be in Napier. Apologies if I'm getting it wrong, but pretty great turnout. Oh, maybe it was one. I don't know. Somewhere.
I mean, a lot of places look the same. Oh my god, good.
Right? So good. So good. And that's our TLDR for now.
Nice. Now, chat gets a choice. You know what? No, they don't. They don't get a choice.
Oh.
They don't get a choice. Chat does not. Let's play this story from last night's news by Lisa Raymer, the Stuff article. I watched I watched One News last night to get the rundown of what's going on. Obviously, about 10 minutes or more of the news was weather related, which makes sense because there was lots of things happening. But the One News story about the strikes really pissed me off. It was very pay heavy. There was just a couple of moments that I'm like, this feels really biased. I didn't like the way that they covered the strikes, and maybe that's because I also have bias.
I mean, we all have bias.
Yes, we all have bias, and even journalists, unfortunately, have a wee bit of that they can't always help. But I wasn't really a fan of the way that they covered the story, so I'm going to play through the Stuff one instead, and we'll just again look through some of the signage that you can see in this clip, and just a reminder of what happened around. I'm gonna mix my languages here. Le motu. Bit of French, bit of ta-da, no? Why not? All right, let's have a listen. Hope this is not too loud for you guys.
They gave us fair warning. This wasn't going to be just another strike. This was going to be a mega strike. The workers united! And mega it was.
No pay equals no slay.
We'd need a teacher to get an exact definition of slay, but they were off the clock today.
We're over it.
Teachers, nurses, firefighters, dentists, doctors. It was an all-in.
These are all the most important jobs.
Important, and they say beyond breaking point.
We need to invest in healthcare to save our future.
Auckland's main street was overflowing with people and purpose.
How would you sum up the state of New Zealand right now?
Third world.
Children showing up to support their superhero parents.
My mum's a teacher and she does hard work.
She's pretty tired.
Yeah.
Thousands marching not just for themselves, but for the next generation.
Oh,
3
it's
weeks
so
old.
tiny.
Mum's a teacher.
Okay, then maybe the youngest protester.
100%, you couldn't miss it.
Thumbs up for mums, but not for the government.
Your forehead is brighter than Aotearoa's future when we're under your government.
They're calling for better pay.
You might find a date here.
I'm hoping so. Heck yeah, just for that thing.
Still
was
with a
cool.
sense of humour, but only just. Because despite the sea of witty signs, those holding them up are exhausted and distressed.
The quick pause to look at some of those signs. I do. I saw the National puts the N back in cuts.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
That I think Juice Media have popularized. So I'm glad I saw a few of those out in the crowds. But no, it's good. Some good wee signs there.
Oh my God, that
Of
one that
our
says if you keep hurting more signs will look like this. That's great.
I love
That's
that.
beautiful. Shout out whoever did that one.
Also, I love this one because this is by a child.
Oh, Mrs. E is the best, so she has to get more dollars. Oh, please.
Is that what it
That's
says?
adorable.
Trying to-
Yeah.
Oh, lots more dollars. Yeah, I see it.
Oh, lots more dollars.
And then
but
I think
yes.
it's a sad child or something. I don't know what that picture is,
Yeah.
but very cute.
Picture unknown, but very sweet.
Very cute.
Are exhausted and distressed.
Toughest it's ever been. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about the salaries.
Better conditions, come on!
It's an outrage.
They want better working conditions and safer staffing numbers.
Certainly not for many, many decades have we seen this. If in living memory, really, there hasn't been this kind of coming together.
They want Christopher Luxon to get the message.
I want him to know that
Very, very
we're
creative.
worth it.
Auckland has become the heart of today's strike action after one of the main rallies in Wellington to Parliament had to be cancelled due to the wild wind forecast.
A lone protester did brave the conditions in the capital, while in sunny Nelson the weather allowed for a few hundred to gather. But elsewhere, rallies were downsized or moved indoors. Auckland's effort surely big enough to make up for it.
Are you feeling like they are getting the message today?
Well, let's hope so.
Or maybe not.
The government have been at the table with reasonable offers, and if you look at the primary principles collective bargaining union, we settled with a really reasonable and good offer.
We need a bit of a connection between the challenges and the wages that most tax-paying New Zealanders receive and the demands being made by these union organisers.
But if they don't do something about it soon, it could be the government that finds itself struggling to stay afloat.
Could
Yeah.
you just take it back to the Erica Stanford bit real quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
It's just, I don't know if it was just me, but I feel like as she's saying that they've given so-called good offers, she seems to be blinking a hell of a lot. Living
Some,
lie.
what do you call it? Body language? Language tells, perhaps?
Maybe.
I'll play it through again.
Message today?
Well, let's hope so.
Or maybe not.
The government have been at the table with reasonable offers, and if you look at the primary principles collective bargaining union, we settled with a really reasonable and good offer.
We need a bit of a connection.
Just a lot of fluttering eyelashes.
No.
Who knows?
Can't say it's one that I picked up, but each person sees something different, I guess. Which
Exactly. Different things stand out to different
yes, for
brains.
sure. Any thoughts on the strikes and the wee story there?
I mean, obviously, I'm just really glad to see that a lot of it went along. I was kind of a little worried that maybe the weather might kind of overshadow the strike, which it obviously did not want to happen. But it seems like they had some pretty great turnouts. I definitely think. I mean, I want to say I hope that it says something to this government, but I don't think it would matter if it said anything to them. They wouldn't fucking listen. So, but I'm just glad to see people out there and the unions like actually kind of trying to fight for what they deserve, because it's just fucked at the moment. Especially like for me, seeing all of the like fires that have been going on and thinking about how we have barely any aerial fire trucks. You know, I think Wellington has just lost its last one. Auckland lost its last one. Like, there are so many places that are just absolutely begging and needing help, and it's those people that were protesting that need it. So I hope we get something out of this.
I really hope so too. I'm really, I'm hopeful. I hope.
Or if not, hopefully it just helps us kind of keep in our mind and not kind of forget by, you know, next year. We've only got not too long to go, Whānau. It's fucking elections not too long away. So hopefully this kind of stuff helps us really keep to the kaupapa and make this the first ever one-term government. So
fingers crossed.
That's all we can hope for.
I chatted more about this with Duncan yesterday. We've got a nice little pre-recorded interview for you guys. Probably should have checked how long it was first. Maybe we'll find out. You'll enjoy it. Unfortunately, they had the camera, so it was focused more on me than it was on Dunk, but it's okay. So it looks like I'm being interviewed, but no, it's a great interview with Duncan. Before we play that, I'll just have a quick run through the super chats. We have 6 cents. Amelia says, Koha, $2. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chewie Burb, the power cut made me 24 hours and 9 minutes late.
Don't worry, the boys were late too.
A whole 3-4 days. Hey, workers strike 2 more times after all the coalition of chaos. Love the 3 strike.
Yes. Maybe we'll have to do one like right around the election season, you know.
Just a reminder. Just a reminder.
3 strikes and they're fucking out.
It's in the ballot for Juliss's first one-term government since 1975. That is not a record you want to put on your CV, is it? I was part of the one-term government. The first one since 1975.
You are the biggest loser.
Well done. All right, well, let's play this quick little interview, sit down I had with Duncan, and we'll be back. We're talking strikes, the legalities of the Public Service Commission and their advertising around the industrial action, and of course the big topic for Duncan this week was him not going for re-election Christchurch Central next year. Yeah, and which is really sad because he's a favourite.
Honestly, that's why I think I tagged you on Blue Sky when I saw it, because I was
did.
just like, no,
it was
like,
it was an audible no,
first big league politician interview, and now he's going. Oh,
I know,
sad.
But hey, he's still in for another year, so he's still around.
Yeah. At least there's that.
All right, let's play it through, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Yee. Enjoy fun.
No, why is it not going through? What's happening? We got it. Busy week.
Busy week in a few ways for me. Yeah, I was up in Wellington. Popped to caucus and let them know that I was going to chuck it all in at the election. How about that? Another socialist falls by the wayside.
Oh, very sad. Very sad. So who's in the running for the top job for Christchurch Central then?
Well, I thought you until you declined, but
no,
because you're a local.
I am technically in the Christchurch Central.
Not a Labour Party member, though, I don't think.
No, I might.
Which is a prerequisite.
I might be on the opposite colour spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately,
opposite in terms of the sort of chromatics rather than the politics.
Yes, no, the spectrum, not the the spectrum of colours.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The opposite of red, unfortunately.
Yeah. So no one's lined up, so it's an open field. But I suspect with a great electorate like Christchurch Central, there'll be a fair bit of competition, you know?
Yeah. Is any of the ones who went for local? Because there's the People's Choice, which is quite a few Labour
Yeah, I honestly don't know. And I'll kind of take a step back from that process. I won't be in there advocating for anyone in particular. People want to ask me questions, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
But I think once you've been the MP, it's not for you to pick a successor.
Yeah.
That's actually for the local members and the wider party.
So does the party or the local party itself?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how big and strong the local party is, but we've got a good membership in Christchurch. So the nominations go in, and there's this really interesting selection meeting, where they give speeches and so on, and there's a panel formed, a selection panel. And if you've got a strong local membership, it has a majority of local representation on it. But if you've got a kind of thin local membership, it'll have a majority of non-local sort of New Zealand councillors.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's very democratic. Yeah.
Oh, obviously. It's got to be.
And it's kind of exciting because you're never quite sure what's going to happen on the day. Yeah.
Yes, I suppose it's kind of what we're all a bit scared of, because when someone who's been the incumbent, is it?
Yeah.
For quite some time, it's kind of a safe seat in a way.
Yeah, and look, I won the seat off Nicky Wagner, National Party MP and Minister, so it's not so safe that it's never been held by National.
Yeah.
But, we had a pretty rugged election last time, and we managed to hold on to the seat. So that bodes well, because we are looking a bit healthier than we were. We seem to be a bit more popular than we were at the last election, so that's nice.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm very looking forward to it. At the same time, I'm very nervous.
Oh, look, I think we've got to be really realistic. It's going to be tough, right? We're kind of neck and neck, and a lot of water to go under the bridge. We've got to present a good alternative that kind of most of New Zealand can get behind, and as soon as you start putting up things, they start getting attacked, right? And you saw that with the Future Fund. It's a good idea. There are details to be worked out, as there are when you're in opposition. You haven't got the whole of government full of public servants to tell you exactly how to do it, and of course that's what's been latched onto. But I think it's a really good idea, kind of New Zealand wealth in New Zealand for New Zealanders.
Yeah, it's a good, nice little slogan there. I think that's really good messaging. I think that's something we've been saying, is that the left side of politics needs to get better at its. I think Pat says the pithy slogans.
Yeah.
We're not as good at those sort of attack lines that are very.
Oh yeah,
sharp,
and that was one of our challenges last election. After the election, as we were debriefing, you'd ask someone, what were the main lines for the National Party, and most people could spit out kind of three key messages.
They're still lingering.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, they're coming back to bite them now, right? But for Labor, the messaging wasn't quite so clear.
And I don't blame Labor at all, because COVID was sort of stripped you all back, and then just into sort of leaving, and I don't blame her for that either. I think there was just a hell of a lot.
Have you seen Prime Minister? Have you seen the movie?
Oh, I really want to go see it. I tried to get the husband onto it, but no.
Don't look at him like
that. No. Disappointed. I do have the book.
It's actually a good watch. It's it's not that political.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it didn't seem to be that kind of film.
Yeah.
But those sort of biographical, behind the scenes type stuff is always very interesting.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially a life of politics. It's fun times. Well, so we'll be sad to see you.
You go with mixed feelings. But to be honest, 9 years, it's the longest I've ever had a job. Most of the time I get caught out before then, but I've managed to hang on. And it's like, there's stuff you want to do, and you can't. Politics is all consuming if you want to do it right. And so it's time just to take a bit of a breath. So no plans, not looking for a job at the moment. So
no, well, at BHN we're always taking experts on our panel. Before we move on to the second topic, anything you're really proud of on the job?
Oh, when I got in, I got in when I was working for people whose homes had been damaged by the earthquakes and were being screwed over by EQC. And, I got in a government, with others that were determined to change that. And it actually did change. The EQC on-sold program was instituted, the Claims Resolution Service was set up, the Earthquake Tribunal was set up, and we just worked through a whole lot of claims with a different approach, with a kind of mandate to treat people decently, and it worked. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't people that still don't have problems, in fact, but massive amounts of kind of backlog were cleared, and people just got a decent outcome, which is they weren't getting at the time. So that's actually why I got in. That's what that's what prompted me. I did. There's so much stuff. I was chief whip in Jacinda's government, which is a great job. It's really behind the scenes. It's not a headline, but your job is to, make sure that your backbenchers don't make the news, right? You know what I mean?
It's a big job.
And it is a big job. And it was a real privilege to do that and just to keep the road clear so that Jacinda could do her job and everyone else was doing theirs properly. So it's basically chief HR for the Labour Party. But that was a real privilege to do that. And then, I was briefly Minister of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. We put some reforms around supermarkets and kind of gave them a bit of a kicking. We haven't seen the real effects of that yet, and it's still a work in progress, but we started it and I was in there doing that, and so that's all good. Open banking's coming, I did that. Insurance law reform, I did that. There's a whole lot of stuff. When you kind of do, I didn't kind of know you were going to ask that question, but when you start unpacking it, there's a shitload of stuff. I chaired the committee that did the, the climate change legislation and set up the Climate Change Commission. All that sort of stuff.
And this year with the TPP
Treaty Principles Bill. I mean, it was never going to pass, but I was really proud to, stand alongside my Māori colleagues and tell the country what a piece of shit it was.
And we all really appreciate it.
And we're doing that with the Regulatory Standards Bill now, right? And just kind of unpacking the really vile stuff and just pointing it out and saying this is not some benign piece of legislation. And it's good, I've got a set of skills which kind of help me do that, having come from kind of teaching law and stuff like that.
All exciting times. Speaking of law, strikes.
Oh, yeah.
This is somewhat of a...
There's a strike.
There's a strike today. Unfortunately, we're not picketing on the streets because of the weather.
Which actually doesn't look too bad right now, but
yeah, it's kind of
a bit weird out there.
Probably wouldn't work so well with paper signs.
No, that's true.
They'd be blowing away. What's your thoughts on specifically the Public Service Commission and the ads? I would love to know what the legalities of that are, if there's any conflicts of doing so.
Well, it's either very close to the line or over it, right? You need a politically independent public service, and it's actually it's in the Public Service Commission should be the most independent because it is the leadership entity for all of the public service. And for them to be kind of saying that they're giving information about the strikes, which is clearly calculated to undermine the kind of legitimacy of the strikes, to suggest that in some ways teachers and I think one of the ones I saw was a graduate, how much a graduate nurse is getting a pay rise, and it's like $8,000. Anyone who's been a graduate knows that once you've got your first year under your belt, you do get a good pay rise because you've been absolutely useless for the first year. You've only just worked out what to do in your job, and that's why you get a big pay rise. But that's not a pay rise to adjust for inflation. That's a pay rise because you are better at your job. And kind of conflating those two things is quite dishonest. And it's really unfortunate that Brian Roach, the Public Service Commissioner, has done that. And I'm just quite surprised because in other areas he's been very good and thoughtful, and he's, we certainly, when we were in government, he was a very useful public servant. But all of a sudden, he seems to be lining up next to the current government and kind of singing their tune, which is the opposite of what you'd expect.
Yes, it's all very, I don't know, I don't like it.
No.
It screams a lot of what we're seeing from in America at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really undermining the...
And look, when you're a minister or you're in government and your public servants who give you really good advice, but they do stuff that you don't want them to do, you do get grumpy at them. It's like, oh no, this, if you tell them to, implement a particular policy they don't like, they'll do that, but they won't advise you that it's a good idea. You know, it's always on the record that they think it's a bad policy, but if you're going to do it anyway, they'll help you. But aligning with the government because you're being brought under that pressure by a minister is the opposite of what a public servant should be doing.
What do you think will happen after these the strikes today? Because there's a huge public backing for our
well, we saw inflation figures come out, right, just the other day. And although the kind of headline number used was 3%, in fact, the real number for most working New Zealanders is a lot higher, because in fact where the real inflation is in things like rates and government charges and insurance and things like the essentials, power prices, things that take up quite a large proportion of working people's income rather than, you know, luxuries. So, and I think they went up by about 12%. So it's a real problem. So it is a pay, you know, if you're not getting a pay increase which covers your increase in the cost of living, not some notional figure, but what it's really costing you, then you're going backwards. So I sympathise, and I think the teachers, and firefighters and nurses and doctors, I think they should hold the line. And, you know, it's up to them when they think they've had a satisfactory offer, but the right to strike is critical. You know, we are in the Labour Party, and you know, there's not much. The whole idea that nurses are being irresponsible because they're withholding their labour, it's the only negotiating point they have. You can go to the table and threaten to strike, but if in fact you never exercise the right to strike, it's a hollow threat. So if you're not getting progress, it's not only appropriate, it's necessary to strike, which is sad.
I think this idea that striking hurts the public is quite interesting, because the government could stop it by coming to the table and offering. I mean, it's not like it's unclear what the unions are all asking for, and what teachers are asking for, what nurses are asking for.
That's right.
And it's always about pay, which it's not.
No, it's
that
not.
Sort of seems like it's secondary, but you have to kind of do both at the same time.
You do both at the same
pay,
time,
because it only comes around every so often.
That's right. And conditions are sometimes a little harder to capture, and because you're not in it, you know, I don't know what a safe staffing level for a nurse is, or I don't know how much time off a teacher needs to do their professional development. So it's a little harder to kind of explain that in the public domain. But you're right, and that is, you know, that pay and conditions are an important part of the negotiating process.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see a resolution for each of the unions by the end of the year?
This government is bloody minded, right? So I don't know. I seriously hope so. But the behaviour, the aggression coming from Simeon Brown and the like, sort of publicly vilifying these caring professions and teaching professions, is really odd. And it's kind of, in terms of all my work as a lawyer, which basically is solving problems, right? It's like the opposite of what you want your clients to do. You do not want people who are trying to negotiate a resolution to turn the temperature up. You know, it's a very poor negotiating tactic.
I never thought of it that way. No, that's a good point. Val, is there anything else you wanted to say while we're sitting here?
Oh, you know, obviously mixed feelings about throwing the job in, but
it's still a year to go.
Well, it is a year to go, and you know, I'll still crack on and still very passionate about getting in. And actually, Paul Goldsmith, to his credit, Minister of Justice, sent me a text and said, some nice, kind words about me leaving, and I said, no, I won't tell you exactly what I said. But I said, don't think I'm going to go soft on you for the next year. Yeah. Still got work to do, a lot of work. And you know, the Justice Committee today has been talking about this protest bill and where that's going to go, and we need to be fighting our corner constantly. And this government is really shit. And I do want to throw them out, and we've got a chance to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Me?
You and your green mates
Yeah.
need to, we need to make sure that we've got some alignment. You know, we're distinct, very distinct.
Yes, very much.
But we need to make sure that we present as a group of politicians who are fit to govern and would change the direction of New Zealand, the direction that's going in. And so, yeah, I mean, it's exciting times. And look, I'm really excited about a new MP to come in and have a whole lot of energy, and come in a situation that was a bit, because I started from scratch. You know, there was it was a pretty when you win an election from a national or other MP, you know, you haven't quite got the same infrastructure and organisation around you. So it's a pretty good proposition to come in to take over from an MP rather than start from scratch. So it'll be really good to see who. So I should give you an advertisement. We need you. No, we do. We need really good MPs, and it's a tough job, and you can see why a lot of people are like, shit, I wouldn't do that. But it's also really rewarding and exciting, you know, long periods of hard work and then moments of real elation when you achieve something. And so it's good. It's a fantastic job. I recommend it. 5 stars.
5 stars for anyone who's keen to take up the Christchurch Central seat. Yeah. Oh, thanks for having a chat.
All good.
I won't take up too much of your day. You can get home before it.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening out there, but...
No, who knows? And look after yourself.
Yeah.
I'm still here, you know.
Oh.
Here for a chat anytime.
Yep, now you're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
I was trying to fix
You're
it. There you go. There you go. That was my sit-down chat with Dunkle.
Hey, Uncle Dunkle.
Uncle
Dunkle. That was great. Obviously, like that comment that I showed up earlier. It's just always refreshing to hear someone who can answer a question, and not only answer it, but answer it well. Crazy.
Yeah.
Too many questions were answered. AI, fake news.
Yeah.
No, but that was really good. You guys covered a lot too, and it was very succinct. Just bam, bam, bam.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
Good.
No, it was good. It was a good chat. Before, I was gonna say something. I can't remember what it was. We had a good chat actually afterwards because the hubby was with me, and he's still learning the ins and outs of politics, and obviously with talking about who can run for politics. He was basically asking the questions of like, how do you get this job? And Dunk's like, you don't need any experience. You just run and you
put your hand up. Yeah,
you put your hand up and you get elected. So no previous experience or specific skills required. Which is quite interesting. But we had a really good chat about that, and we one of the things we were talking about was I can't remember what we got onto. It was talking about deputies and stuff. Oh, I think it was the comment of Barbara. We're like, oh yeah, we love Barbara, and I was like, yeah, she's my favourite. Sorry, Duncan. Barbara's my favourite.
Honestly,
but like, and he was like, yeah, he was like, yeah, everyone loves Barb. And then we were talking about the deputy of the Labour Party, who is Carmel, which we often forget.
Carmel,
but he was explaining how the deputy is kind of like the is like the actual leader, like the leader of the party is the face of the party.
Yes.
And then the deputy kind of is the leader behind the scenes, sort of making sure everything's, going the way it should. And yeah. So I thought that was quite interesting because obviously we haven't seen much of Carmel recently.
No,
but
not really.
Obviously with campaigning, finance is quite a big portfolio, so it makes sense that Chris and Barbara are kind of the face of the party at the moment, getting themselves out there. Yeah, so it was a good chat. It was a very good chat.
No,
I
yeah,
really
it
enjoyed
was.
it. I loved all the comments that were very concerned about his Pepsi
Oh my god, yeah.
consumption.
I feel like maybe we've got to get an endorsement. Like you got to pay money for that. The amount of times I saw
Yeah,
the word
sorry.
in our chat. Jesus. Hashtag not
Sorry.
an ad.
Not an ad, not sponsored, not a product placement. Just
Yeah. You know
leave
what
the
he
man
should have
alone.
done?
It's a hard
He
job.
should have got one of those cuppers and should have just poured the fucking Pepsi in the cup.
Yeah.
You know? Then
Should've
you could
thought
have
of
both
that.
looked like you were sipping tea.
You didn't
I did
know it
love-
was in my cup.
Oh.
It
Well,
was
hey,
it
at
was-
least you're
it
only
was tea.
cycling on your bike. It's fine.
No, I was driving that day, actually.
Oh.
Not that day. No, God no. We wouldn't be biking on Thursday. I was biking on
No.
Tuesday. But no. Couldn't be doing. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I saw lots of people were very thankful for a bit of something different. Few super chats as well. Chewie Burb said, can we get Duncan Webb his own BHN podcast? Maybe.
I floated that he just become the third host of Friday.
The third host?
Yeah, I reckon. Like, we've got space. You know. We might end up going for 2.5 hours if we're not fucking careful, but, you know.
Sure, he's got better ways to spend his Friday. Mr. Harvard says late fee. Thank you. And I did like this comment by James. It's an in-person interview. I feel somewhat socially awkward for some reason. That's just because I'm socially awkward. I think you're just feeding off of my weird energy.
Well, no, but I kind of get what he means because it kind of almost feels like you're kind of sitting in on someone else's, like, kind of kōrero, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, I get it. That is one thing, though, that I did want to say before we move on is that I do like what I love about Duncan is his ability to not only answer a question, but then also kind of focus on what we can actually do about stuff and some of the more positive kind of things. I feel like we don't see a lot of that from, well, just across the board, really. So it's just a nice thing.
And I actually really
about him.
I liked that he brought up the Greens as well, about working together and actually being conscious of the fact that the Labour Party and the Green Party do need to work together and they do need to kind of campaign synergistically and like the fact that they are separate entities, but very much the left is a collective. But I think with someone not going for re-election, even though he's still a current MP and will be until the election, I feel like it does free up. I think Duncan's never minced his words. I mean, he was the guy who got called out for saying that David Seymour didn't know the difference between Hamas and hummus, which I think he got quite a bit of trouble for. But I feel like it's nice to be able to maybe speak a bit more freely. I mean, especially after you've been in the role and you kind of come out of it and you're no longer a representative of the party. You can kind of speak a bit more frankly, which he'll be an interesting one to watch. I think once he's kind of had his break and things, I'll be interested to see what he gets up to next. And yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. Right. I think we're time for memes.
Yes, memes. Oh, this so there's a really unfortunate ellipsis you'll see here. They are miles apart politically, but there is one thing Farage and Polanski have in common. Anal. Very unfortunate ellipses.
On him as well. Last week I showed the interview with him and Chloe. I did not realize he was the leader of the Greens.
Yeah.
Because I knew that there was the older guy and then there was the lady. There was like lots of infighting and then they ended up separating and like I think she left the party. I don't know. There was a whole. I knew that there was kind of something going on there, but I'd never seen him mentioned as being part of the UK Greens party. So I feel like an absolute idiot. Like last week I was just like, oh yeah, this guy Polanski and his podcast, not realizing the connection. But anyway, Now I know.
Hey.
Now I know. No one told me. You could have put it in chat.
Hey, I mean, there's a lot of fucking news to keep like your eyes across. Like we've had a lot going on here. You know what I mean? I think we can forgive you for not knowing a whole other country's bloody MPs. If I built
I'm not even talking about the right one. I'm talking about your party, not the party. So fucking
yours. If I built a big robot that consumed 33% of my state's electricity so it could go around stealing people's art, I would be arrested. And that's how you know law is a social construct. Just saying. Why don't poor people just work harder? Bro, why don't billionaires just pay their taxes? Really good question. Total wealth of billionaires in 1990, 59 billion. Total wealth of billionaires in 2025, 795 billion. Number of food banks in 1990, 0. Number of food banks in 2025, 2,400. Tax the rich. This is also UK numbers, obviously. Me struggling to hold it together in a system that views me as worthless. My coworker who married a rich Nepo baby farm owner talking about the law of attraction. This one was supposed to be in the BHN community ones. Whoops, wrong spot. I'm sure you've seen this one. This one's been doing the rounds. Judith Collins summons megastorm to silence unions. I think they've done a really good job on the actual, like, graphic design, though. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, this is blown out to fuck. Laser focused on gutting public services. I guess this image quality is about as good as this government. People have been doing the support Aunt Tifa. I do like these ones. Epstein connection disqualifies Prince Andrew from royal titles, qualifies him for US presidency. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And then fuck social media, marry books, kill AI. I thought this is quite fun. And then we'll make this one the last one. Party like it's 1928. Republicans control Senate, House, majority of governors, Supreme Court pick, presidency. This hasn't happened since 1928. Do they know what happened in 1929? I don't know. Do they know? Do they know it's Christmas? Time it all. All right, where are we going next?
Times. Sorry, making loud noises. Am I making loud noises? What's going on?
Nah, you're good now.
Microphone's just having a freak out. James Meagher made the news recently when he slammed the incredible numbers of submissions that people have been making to this government's relentless attacks on everything and exercising their democratic right to submit and have their voices heard, which is submissions and select committee processes this term have also been quite slim as well because everything's put under bloody urgency. So the fact that we are still getting a good number of submissions in for bills is good. It's good to see.
Oh yeah, no, I'm loving it.
Wait, what happened to my graph's gone?
Oh no.
There was a graph. The graph was in here.
Look at this graph.
Look at this. Oh, it's not even
there we
the
go.
article.
We found the graph.
This is the article.
Oof. Don't worry,
so just a wee graph that we love our graphs. We love our graphs.
Hell yeah.
Sharp rise in submissions to select committees. So from 2023 to when was this article written? Oh, yeah, no, very recently.
2 days ago.
Few days ago, so 600,000 plus submissions from 2023. That's when the government came into power.
Funny,
no, I love it. 600,001 to be exact. From 2020 to 23, so the last term, it was 280,000. Huge increase there. And 2017 to 2020, we had 95,000. So the term prior. So this was Labour majority government.
I'd be assuming that would be
Labour
around.
Greens.
The one in the middle is probably around when there was the bill for the births, deaths, and marriages to be able to change your gender marker. I'm pretty sure that's what that 2020 to 2023 big spike was. Because I believe before the Hikoi, the biggest submissions that were ever, on record before that was for the gender bill, I believe.
So half of this here, so I would say roughly, so half of this, 300,000, is the Treaty Principles Bill, which means it's roughly the same as what we saw in 2020, 2023. For all, combining all other bills that have had submissions for it. So, yeah, very interesting little graph there. But James Meagher, he's had a tough job of being on the Treaty Principles, the Select Committee. Being he stepped down from his role. He was Select Committee chair of the Select Committee, all Select Committees. But yes, he stepped down from that role. I think Andrew Bailey's taken whatever role he had before. Yeah, great guy to be in there as well. Great MP. But yes, it was a bit too much for him. Lots of too many submissions. Too many submissions.
Oh, how dare the people have a fucking opinion? How dare?
All right, so let's. So this is a piece from Newsroom.
Conversion therapy. That's the other one that I'm thinking of.
There we go. Justice Select Committee chair.
Also, just real quickly, shut up, dude. We're in the middle of the story.
Story from Newsroom. Well, I'll read a wee bit of this to give some context about what we're talking about. So, the MP in charge of handling record-breaking submissions on the controversial Treaty Principles Bill says politicians may need to think about requiring proof of identity or citizenship if a surge in feedback is not kept under control. National MP James Meagher has also taken aim at political leaks during Select Committee scrutiny of the law, saying they had a chilling effect on people's willingness to speak frankly. Parliament is carrying out its triennial review of standing orders and the rules that govern the parliamentary process amid rising concerns about the proliferation of public submissions across successive parliaments. Meagher chaired Parliament's Justice Committee when it considered more than 300,000 submissions on the Treaty Principles Bill, but he is now a minister. And among those, he is now a minister? He was a minister before. But he is now a minister, and among those who have raised the matter with the Standing Orders Committee. In the statement, Meagher said the scale of submissions was far outpacing the resources available to select committees and showing no signs of slowing, with MPs unable to give meaningful consideration to each submitter's view as a result. While it is natural for controversial legislation to draw wider engagement, the rise of coordinated, largely online campaigns risk undermining the committee's ability to identify and consider substantive good faith submissions. Meagher said MPs could need to consider whether organisations should be allowed to submit on behalf of others or if individuals should have to submit their own views. A few restrictions in place on making a submission, being part of the democratic process accessible, in other words, it was possible proof of identity or citizenship could be necessary to safeguard against abuse of the Select Committee process, including any use of artificial intelligence tools to generate submissions on behalf of fake people. I do not think that I do not think that this that is a road our Parliament wants to go down, but it is very real and possible consequences of recent submission campaigns. Meagher said of implementing additional verification processes. The surge in numbers had a practical effect on the workload of parliamentary staff, but also made it harder for politicians to determine the real value of submissions. He did not believe the coalition government's use of urgency and truncated select committee processes was behind the rise in submissions, and instead attributed it to the rise of social media and the ease with which political groups could coordinate campaigns. Greater use of AI from people making submissions and officials trying to analyse them also needed to be dealt with. Do we want to get into a world where it might be bots making the submissions to be read by bots? Is that a good place for our democracy to end up?
What a fucking hypocrite. This is coming from the same government that wants to fucking implement AI, you piece of shit. Fucking hell. Oh.
Yes. So it talks about the leaks. He talks about Takuta Ferris calling two people submitting on the treaty principles fucking racists. They were, yes, very much so. Yeah.
Fuck this guy?
Yeah, pretty much. The reason why my brain stopped working for a second there is because I wanted to jump to this other article with the submissions graph. But any thoughts on Amiga's words there?
I mean, it's all so clearly a fucking dog whistle. They don't want people to be able to make submissions because they realize people have learnt that they can actually have a say in stuff, and New Zealanders are actually finally putting in the effort to give a fuck and doing it. And now he's like, oh, no, because of we can't have the bots. It's like, no, maybe you should also, like, this is where the conversation goes of, oh, maybe we need to reconsider how this process is set up. Like, I'm personally of the opinion that we should have, for every bill, there should be some kind of shortened video and like small PDF that breaks down what each bill is, what it means, so that people actually can figure out how they feel about certain things, because that is the biggest barrier initially. Is like, we've all seen there's some really convoluted documents. Like, this is where it's like, no, you don't need to put less into it. You actually need to put more resources in. And we needed to discuss how people are able to submit, because, to be honest, even though we do have oral and written like accessibility in the terms of these things, like there's a lot of things we could do to improve the system rather than try to stifle people. But again, this government's doing the fascism, so why would I be surprised? And yes, it was hard work. Doing submissions is hard. Learning what to...
That's true.
Trying to learn, that's why we have people making, submission templates and actually breaking things down. But we shouldn't have to rely on people who are basically nerdy enough to hyperfixate on this thing to teach people about it. We should have it embedded in our system that there is a way for us to all... Like, I'm sure half of us didn't even realize the submissions process existed maybe 5 years ago. Like, there's a lot of things we could do and change, and it's none of what he said. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
This other story that came out 4 days ago, which had that graph, I'm going to read some of this as well, because I think this is quite important. With some of the possible ways in which we could deal with the rise in submissions in a way that we can keep them, but perhaps alter the process to make it easier to process. So obviously David Seymour could take the credit or blame for the surge in submissions under the current government, considering that 300,000 of the 600,000, half of them came from his bill, and another 159,000 for the RSB, his other bill.
Which I'm so glad we were able to get that many for those two, especially.
That's
so good,
very impressive. So the Clerk of the House, David Wilson, told Newsroom there had been more than 600,000 submissions to select committees so far this term, with the tally for the Gene Technology Bill yet to be reported. That meant almost half of the 1.3 million public submissions made since the change to the MMP electoral system in 1996 had come in the past 2 years.
Shit.
Damn, boy.
When you put
We're
it like that.
participating. It's grown pretty much every parliament, which you'd expect, but it's now become absolutely huge, and there's no reason it would stop. Well, there might be. Maybe you should stop doing shitty bills that 600,000 people don't agree with.
Right.
While particular policies would provoke more submissions than others, Wilson said the democratisation of the process had also made it easier for all New Zealanders to have their say. You can make a submission online, it doesn't have to be very long. In the days of people writing on paper, they probably felt it had to be quite formal, and maybe they were not the sort of people who could do it. It's easier with social media to organise campaigns for people to submit as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. The flood of submissions had practical implications, most evident when the Parliament website crashed under the weight of submissions in the Treaty Principles Bill. Wilson said the Office of the Clerk had strengthened the capacity of the IT infrastructure beforehand, but the fact roughly half of them had come in one day was just more than it could cope with, which is fair. There's only so much technology can do. You can easily overrun a system if you're not sure how much power you need. There's still an open question there. Do we build that capacity so that it's the new norm, or was it a one-off and actually we are investing money that we don't really have on something that is not likely to happen all the time? Technical problems also risk people losing faith in the submission process and feeling as if the government was trying to stop them from sharing their view, even though that was not the case. Wilson said this sharp increase in submissions meant it wasn't practical for MPs or officials to read every single one, or for select committees to hear from every person who wanted to make an oral presentation. Parliament's Justice Committee had 16 Secretariat staff working on the Treaty Principles Bill submissions, more than 5 times the usual number, and was still processing submissions after it had produced its report on the law. Permanently increasing staff levels to meet peak demands was a potentially unwise use of taxpayer money, which I somewhat agree with. But temporary staff were limited in the work they could do, given the need for prior experience in some aspects of assessing submissions. Some government departments that use artificial intelligence to help analyse submissions with the permission of the select committee in question, and Wilson said he saw a place for technology in easing the burden on staff. We don't want to rush into it. I think it could be really useful in doing that first analysis of submissions, then flagging to a human decision maker. Hey, this one looks like making allegations against someone, or this one contains offensive language, and then a person can actually make the decision. Could do that really quickly and obviously much faster than people can, and just want to be sure it can actually do it properly, and you wouldn't want to rely on it making decisions that had any ongoing impact. Another option could be create a different channel for people who wanted to formally record their support for or opposition to a particular bill without it going through the official process required of select committee submissions. We could collate all of that probably pretty much instantly and give it to committees to say, you've got 5,000 substantive submissions where people have got a lot to say, but also 100,000 people have done this. It's not a scientific poll because it's just anyone who wants to do it, but a lot of people do just want to register opposition, more often opposition than support. Such a mechanism would require additional funding and endorsements of Parliament's Standing Orders Committee, Wilson said, and could be looked at for the next term. So some actually practical solutions, some practical realities of the submission process and processing it, some practical use of AI, but also ways in which a human can still be part of the process. There's some really good stuff in there. I think we should consider a lot of it as part of the process to make it easier. But I don't think making it harder to submit is the way to go. I think making it easier to process is the way forward. I think any way in which we are decreasing the ability to be part of the democratic process, to have our say, is suppression. I would say voter suppression, but it's suppression of the voice of the people. So that's definitely not the way we should be going, but we should be finding ways in which we can deal with the increase in submissions. And if this is the way that we're going forward, then maybe we should be funding the select committee more. Maybe we should be finding that staff that we can throw in when we need them. Like, there are ways around this, and it's going to cost money because people want their say. That's not a bad thing.
No, yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Absolutely. I mean, most of the time the answer isn't less, it's always more. It's often more, because it's like sometimes you do just need to invest in these things. Like, if you want a democracy to actually be a democracy that is representing the actual people's opinions, thoughts, and feelings, then, and if it's currently not fit for purpose in doing that, then stuff needs to change. But again, not in decreasing funding, which this government just loves to fucking do. Goddamn austerity bitches.
Our Gary. I don't know what I was going to. Our regular to Parliament, Gary, says he's in favour of David Wilson, knows his shit. Whenever Brownlee is struggling, it's David Wilson's passing him notes with advice about standing orders and speakers' rulings. Well, that's good to know.
Well, yeah.
It seems like those were reasonable considerations that he put there, and I appreciate that. It was unbiased, in my opinion. Parliamentarian saying parliamentarian things. So nice to hear that sometimes. You're just like, oh, look, someone's got practical advice, practical solutions, who doesn't just shit on the idea of people's having their say about things.
I mean, between this and the whole way that they want to change the electoral fucking your ability to register before the votes and stuff, like, they're just clearly targeting and trying to suppress any form of interest in democracy from anyone that isn't basically their people. It's cooked.
That it is. I've got more memes for us.
Memes. Tell me more about these inflatable frog people. They're violent, terrorists, extremists. One twerked at me, and I got horny, so I pepper sprayed it. Millennials, come on, class. Do it. Not now, sweetie. Mummy's cyberbullying the government. Me struggling to hold it together in a system that views me as worthless. The middle-class neurotypical white guy telling me about mindsets and positive thinking. Yes, we've got some very good community memes. The beehive bathroom basics, luxury toilet tissue for the coalition of crap, and I mean, yeah, that's kind of what they're doing to all of them at the moment. Oh yeah, I added the face because I thought it would be funnier, but I can excuse teachers leaving for Australia, but I draw the line at kids missing one day of school. Some Luxona roll-on deodorant. Do you sweat under media scrutiny? Luxona marks the stench of corruption and moral decay from any nearby source, whether it's you or a close associate you're defending. Luxona use platitude-infused molecules developed by international PR scientists to confuse the senses of everyone around you. Luxona's special formula also dissolves spines, ensuring moral flexibility. Roll off your responsibilities, roll on a comforting Luxona scent. Sorted, what I say to you. Cool criticism, intense inequality, laser focus, unrelenting urgency, active astroturf. This was a sign from the strike. Another good one. The moment you realized that wasn't a fart. I believe it was either Cyber or Citizen, I think, that put this picture in for us to meme. And when I saw it, this is all I saw when I saw the picture, was just a straight up pukana. Got Mar-a-Lago of the Witches. And we'll end on this one for now, but we got, this is not a meme, this is just David Seymour posting on Facebook and being cringe. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for now. All right.
Nice. Our final story tonight is a bit of a niche one. We're stepping away from politics for a second, but this can be political in a different way. Maybe not governmental political, but political in its field kind of way, in which there are opinions on both sides. My favourite thing to hear. On the topic of ADHD, which I think this has been a topic that has dominated the media on and off every couple of months for the last 25-ish years, basically, since everyone during a pandemic realized that there might be something wrong with them because they can't function. And the rise of social media and everyone talking about their cognitive issues. And obviously with the rise in addiction to social media and the sorts, there's a lot of questions around, does ADHD exist, or is it just social media addiction, and what is this and what is that, and everyone has autism now, and everyone's neurodivergent, and everyone has different brains, and oh my god.
You're telling me the people that bullied me for being different are also autistic? I don't know about that one.
So there's a lot going on in the space. Lots of thoughts and feelings. But it's come back again. The conversation's come back around again. Is adult ADHD, is it overdiagnosed? So a new podcast by Miriyama Kamo and someone had his name in there before. It doesn't say. Why can't you write the names of the hosts in the bloody thing? I think Cyber Goblin had it before, and I forgot to star it. Gosh darn it. Cyber, help me out.
I'm getting there. Thank you. Mark Kreisel.
That's the one. Mike Kreisel. Have a new podcast. And so they get Guy Williams, who did a documentary on TVNZ a few months ago, which I actually really appreciated.
It was really cool.
Guy had not been diagnosed with ADHD. He was actually doing the documentary for his sister, I think. His sister got diagnosed. And in the process of doing so, everyone was like pointing the finger at him, being like, bruh.
Yeah. Dude, you should probably be in first place for this diagnosis.
Yeah. Pot calling the kettle black a little bit. So that was quite an interesting, I think it's on TVNZ if anyone wants to go and watch it. So he's on the panel talking about his lived experience. Anika Mboa is on this panel as well, talking about her lived experience. And the reason that I wanted to show the clinical side of this with the two clinicians at the end is probably where it's the most interesting and controversial. But I do want to go through Guy and Anika's comments as well, because specifically they touch on a few things that are a little bit kind of back up a little bit of what the clinician's going to talk about, which is kind of like the pathologizing side of mental illness and behaviors and things, and so the over-pathologizing people's behaviors versus real clinical need for diagnoses and things like that, and the help and the benefits that come from the likes of medication and knowing who you are and how you function on a clinical level at least. But yeah, so let's jump in with a guy who talks about sort of one of the things that kind of lead into why he was very sort of ADHD doesn't exist in the beginning, because he was someone who had the experience of choosing the right paths in life and not seeing the same resistance that perhaps others who have the same diagnosis saw, so that he was not masking, but he was flying under the radar for a lot of his life. And that just came down to his decisions that he made about his lifestyle, his career choice, and he talks a bit about this, which I think is quite it's very interesting. Go on, Guy, everyone's favorite.
I always thought I was kind of strong with the nature over nurture. For me, I was a very capable student with decent grades all the way through, and I was well behaved at school. If you look at my reports, apart from the occasional joke or prank or whatever. And when I got to 19 or 20, I realized that everyone has social anxiety, so you may as well be the goof at the party. I became a comedian, and my whole career I've been encouraged to be loud and obnoxious and say the wrong thing, and so I felt like I've developed the skill of ADHD.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Nika might be the same. Like, it's like you started just as a musician.
Yeah.
And then you did so well in interviews that you parlayed into a career in media and stuff. I was like, did you feel like you played it up or not, or was it always inside you?
It's me. I never play anything up.
You've never changed?
If anything, I read a script and I take what I want from it, and then the rest of it's me.
You said it's your superpower?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well...
And this kind of feeds into that again of this Anika's response here is more like the thing that it's kind of probably become quite popular in social media is thinking of your mental health or your behaviors, especially things like autism and ADHD, which are very behavioral based. Thinking of them as your superpower, looking at the positives that brings to your life as opposed to the negatives that it brings. And this is what Anika speaks about here. And again, it mimics the same thing of the industries that these two have gone into, the entertainment industry, especially sort of being a comedian, being in music. Like, these are very free-flowing, non-rigid. I think Guy says, like, if you read it, like, you don't find many ADHDers in the accounting business, for example, or as lawyers and things. Maybe lawyers, maybe a little bit, because then they're very 9 to 5 rigid, which doesn't really work with their types of brains. So they've been very lucky that they've gone into this. But I'll let Anika speak to this.
I have confidence. I never had social anxiety. I believed in myself 150%. But I come from solo mum, on the dole, no money, no clothes, like poor as anything. But I still had confidence to do exactly what I wanted. Yeah. And I think that's a superpower.
Yeah. That's ADHD.
Yeah, because I probably foolishly believe that I can do anything. Like, people,
it's not foolish. I think you've proven it over and over.
A lot of people do think it's foolish because if you're too confident, you I don't know. It's like that tall poppy syndrome. I was always told that I'll never make it. I'm a stupid Mary. You know, all these things against me. But because I have ADHD, I just didn't believe them. I was like,
so for you, this is a.
So the next wee bit that she jumps into here is something that not many people, I think this is probably the most important thing that she talks about, or this whole discussion talks about, is the intersectionality of women who have ADHD and also women in their hormones, as they not only just their monthly hormones but their decade hormones as well, which have been women in ADHD has been basically never really researched until, like, I think there was a study between
recently,
like 2000s and 2010. It might have even started in 2010 around women with ADHD. I think it's like the biggest, like, proper clinical study on it. But we've still got a lot of blind spots around or research that backs up clinicians who kind of have an understanding, and because of what they're seeing in their practice, around women, how they react to the typical treatment of ADHD, which is your stimulants, how their hormones affect how the stimulants work on their bodies, and then over the decades you also have things like, as Anika goes into here, menopause and perimenopause, and how that again has a lot of correlations in the symptoms that you get, like sort of the forgetfulness and the memory issues and the cognitive issues that kind of come from perimenopause, how they interact with your typical ADHD symptoms as well. And then also motherhood plays a part in this. There's not a lot of this conversation. There's not enough research out there. There's a lot of conversation around it, but there needs to be more research, and this is going to take time. Obviously, you can't build up what I think this has been around for 70 odd years for boys, and for adults even less than that, and then for women even less than that. And for adult women, even less than that. So, yeah. But I'll let Anika speak to this because I think it's kind of important as well.
Well,
people celebrating it online.
I actually think there's more important things to think about than thinking it's a fad. I think perimenopause, what I'm going through, what you've gone through, I think that's more important and actually messes you up worse than ADHD. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I just need a PA basically to run my life because that's the only thing that is a downfall to me is my memory and my impulsivity to want to do things, but then when the time comes, I can't see them through. I've got an acting class tonight, don't want to go, you know? Bought some knitting needles, spent 10 minutes trying to fucking knit on or purl on, and I just gave up. If I'm not hyper-focused, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Only if it's my one desire and one, I'll die for my passion.
But also, people with ADHD, I think, I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on anything I say about ADHD, but I think you're attracted to loose, flimsy, comedy and music careers, as opposed to, we're not going to be lawyers or accountants.
Hell no.
Yeah. Can I?
So that's sort of the lived experience part of the interview, and then we'll go into some of the clinician stuff. Any speak to that and add to it there, Magenta? I know you've definitely a lot more technically, academically expertised in this.
I mean, this might be one of my special interests, but I mean, there's quite a few things. I took some notes because I was like, "There's no way I'm going to remember all of this." By the time we get to this part, but I mean, there's one thing is that I've just noticed in general. I wouldn't say it's just ADHD, but I think neurodivergent people in general gravitate towards the arts. If you look at a lot of your favorite comedians. Honestly, the one thing that, the glass shattering moment you have when it's the glass shatters and you can't unsee it, the amount of different, content creators that I follow who I'm realizing are just an autistic person and an ADHD person hanging out and vibing. It's a lot more. Once you start noticing it, it's there. And it's because, camouflaging, also known as masking, that is a tool that a lot of us develop in childhood through basically being bullied, traumatized, especially ADHD kids are often vilified and are often given the stupid fucking diagnosis that shouldn't exist, but oppositional defiance disorder. A lot of ADHD kids get given, and autistic kids actually too, because, they want to do what they want to do. So there's already that kind of drifting towards the creative. Obviously, those things tend to have more flexible hours. Also tend to be a lot later, and a lot of ADHD and autistic people seem to have. There's a good portion of us who are very much nighttime people. We live in the nighttime. I think, however, there was one thing. I don't super love going hardcore into a superpower narrative. I personally think we need to have a little bit of an in-between of you can lean into what work, my autism and shit like that is where a lot of my research and a lot of the things that I bring to the show come from, because I go into these big, holes of I need to understand all of this and I need to tell everyone about it. But you can also, I feel if you lean too hard into the superhero narrative, it kind of discredits the fact that we are disabled, not because of the fact that our brains are broken or there's anything wrong with us. It's that we're disabled in the society that has been built around us because it wasn't built with us in mind. Which is another reason why I'm yes, whether you want to call it, even if we just went into neurodivergent and neurotypical, there's a very clear existence of these two camps, because there's also studies that they've found literal children, if you just put autistic kids with other kids without knowing that kid's autistic, they've found, I believe it was within about 5 to 8 minutes, kids start treating autistic children differently because they obviously notice subtle differences in how they are. that is something we've already found. I also find it funny when people go, oh, ADHD and autism, it's just a fad. That is the same thing that they said when I was like in high school, when people were kind of, I guess, queerness was becoming much more of a conversation. Obviously, we're trying to get queer marriage to actually be fucking legalized. Like, I had my own mother tell me that being bisexual is just a phase. And I mean, the bisexuality, yeah, I went to pansexual, so technically the bisexual was a phase, but not in the way that she thought. And so I guess I just feel like it's the same thing with when people just want to basically discredit and go, oh, it's just a fad, it's just a fad. It's like, no, I also feel like some of those people, they're probably feeling a little added, and like maybe they don't want to confront some kind of confronting feelings that all of these, new informations are bringing up. But yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts.
Nice. I think what you're just saying there kind of leads into the clinician. Sorry, someone asked what clinicians means. I can't remember. I know one of them is a practicing psychiatrist. I'm not sure. I think the other guy is more in the research space. But they have a very interesting argument for does ADHD exist and does it not? And I think it's the kind of like, do we look at it as a do we pathologize it, and the treatments, do they work, and all of this sort of stuff. And I think there's good things made on both sides, but I'm going to start at the very end because I think he asked the right question at the end of the guy who's the skeptic of it, and then we'll kind of move back into some of the questions. It's actually quite hard to pick out points because they kind of speak over each other a lot. Like, it's just constantly speaking over each other, and then it gets really medical as well. And so I'm just like,
very neurodivergent sounding conversation. Then that's just the fucking Discord chat.
They're very, let's just say they're both very passionate about their sides of it. And I think this makes sense because we are talking about real people's outcomes and things like that. The guy who's in the studio is he based here in New Zealand? And the guy who's not in the studio has an English accent, but I'm not 100% sure if he's from or based in England. But he has some issues with some of the points made. Anyways, right, let's jump into the last little bit, and then so this is the last question that's asked of the skeptic, and then we'll jump back to some of the questions. If I can find the right timestamp. Is it going to be good to me? Yeah. Good.
There's plenty of stigma around epilepsy.
So we do have to
I would actually want to ask Sami, what is your definition of mental disorder, Sami?
We literally don't know what we're talking about when it comes to mental disorders because it's all subjective. That's the point I've been trying to make.
So you're saying there is no mental disorder? Is this back to the old anti-psychiatry from the 70s? Is that what we're talking about here?
I'm saying it is conceptual.
Let me jump in again. Epilepsy is conceptual. The ILAE revises the definition every 3 or 4 years or so. Are you saying epilepsy doesn't exist because the definition gets revised? We went
no.
Having to have two seizures to having one seizure plus, etc. Now, and I would remind you, I'm measuring attention in these people when I make a diagnosis. I'm not just getting them to tick boxes. I'm seeing what their attention is actually like, what their cognitive functions are like. And it can be quite surprising. I agree that if you're not measuring anything, it's all constructed and you haven't got anything to hang your hat on. But if you do, are you saying that doesn't matter? Neuropsychological testing is irrelevant.
There is no shortcut to an individualized approach, that lumping things together, because actually that's something that I agree. I think we should be doing specific profiling, and I do cognitive profiling and have done that, because there is no shortcut. But ADHD is itself a constructed concept that leads to stereotyped ideas, and I think I don't think we should be using it at all.
And Greg?
If we found another diagnostic term that people took a bit more seriously and led to better processes, actually, I'm in favour of that.
So, a lot there. So, as far as I understand from the sort of spaces that I've kind of run within and sort of understood from the clinical side of things and the arguments for pathologizing and not pathology, all that sort of thing, is I don't even know Magenta, you speak. What have you got?
I mean, this is all I could think
yes.
when that guy was talking.
Yeah.
Hopefully that kickstarts your brain.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that is the thing, right? I mean, any set of human behaviors is conceptual. I mean, the fact that we can look at someone like Guy Williams, for example, and say, well, here's your list of things. And even he himself is like, it's quite a spectrum. There's a lot of things. There's like crazy driving. There's addiction. There's all of these other things that are like behavioral or you can categorize this kind of brain structure as, and they call it ADHD, whatever. But when they all kind of line up, it is a conceptual thing that it kind of becomes something. And if it's been clinicized as ADHD and treated under that umbrella, but you could argue that that's just kind of a brain type that some people have, and like us as humans recognize that kind of brain type. I mean, the perfect example of this is that people who are neurodivergent or divergent, who are not your neurotypical people, we all seem to find each other. So there is something innately human about it that's not just like my best friend, for example, right? Grew up with her, came from very similar but different backgrounds. We kind of just found each other. She had she had the Card Captors Cloud book.
Yes.
In the first couple of days of school, and I was just like, I fucking love this anime.
Hell yeah.
And we bonded over that. Little did I know, I had my wedding a few months ago. She was my maid of honor, and like I didn't know this, and we hadn't kind of like not fallen out, but we just sort of like hadn't really seen much of each other over the last 10 years. She has ADHD, so like we're two peas in a pod. And like we just seem to have found each other, and like we're tight as anything, even though we haven't spent much time with each other in the last 10 years. Like we fit together perfectly. And like yourself, Magenta, when you put your name forward for the Friday host and things, I was like, I like this person. I think we can vibe. And then like our first little chat that we had offline, I was like, we vibing. Like it's just we just seem to find each other, and like it works,
Right. I mean, even I think I was talking to Chewie's wife, and she was saying that her and Chewie had conversations about how me and him are really similar. Guess what we have in common, guys? It's not just an ADD in that boy. I'm telling you that now. Game recognizes game. But that's the thing is, like, we find each other, like that study I was talking about in kids literally, like, that's half the time how kids become the target of being bullied in school. It's because you notice those small, subtle differences, that the vibes are off. And, that's how we end up. Yeah, literally, like, most of us end up being the weird kid who is often a little bit eccentric or a nerd. Nerd to me is just synonymous with neurodivergent. Like, someone's a nerd, neurodivergent, probably. But, and that's the thing is, I think, if anything, focusing on this whole, like, trying to be like, well, it's just a social construct, which we then stigmatize. He's kind of putting the blame in the wrong place. I think what we need to talk about is the fact that we as people keep fucking stigmatizing people for being different. And we as a society need to actually start having conversations about how we need to change how we behave. Because the thing is, neurodivergent people have always existed. How the fuck do you think before computers, or even before like proper technology, we had fucking encyclopedias published by a single person? You're telling me that a human who will sit there and write books in painful detail on the most like random thing is just, No, they'll probably just a neuro. No, they probably were a neurodivergent. We have always existed, and it's about kind of focusing on the fact that we've been underdiagnosing. So you know what? It's probably going to look like we're overdiagnosing at the moment because we've been doing such a shit fucking job at it so far. Like, we do need to have some base categories. Like, it sucks. We'd love that we didn't have to be put in boxes, but we do need some basic labels so we can kind of have an idea of what we're dealing with. You know? You don't want to pretend something's not a potato and then all of a sudden you go to bloody make your roast and next thing you know you've got some weird other vegetable in there. Like, we need those umbrellas for a reason. They don't have to be boxes. They can be umbrellas. I think that's probably a better way to see it. Yeah.
Spectrums.
Exactly.
The next wee bit that I managed to pull out of this, I think there's a lot of talking over each other again in this conversation. But it's talking about, again, sort of pushing against this idea that it's just a construct, which it is a construct, but then there's sort of like, it then goes beyond a construct into a clinical condition in which needs to be, in order to function in society. And like Magenta was just saying, maybe it's society that needs to change, not us. But unfortunately, it's the system that we're in, and sometimes you do need clinical help in order to mitigate the side effects that can come from living in a world that doesn't work for you, and you end up actually with other comorbidities, addiction issues, all those sorts of things. But yeah, we'll listen to I believe this is the psychiatrist talking about the medical side of things and treatment of ADHD. If I've got the right timestamp.
The evidence does show that out of the psychiatric medications used for mental health problems, stimulants for ADHD is the most effective intervention. Much more effective than antipsychotics for schizophrenia, much more effective than antidepressants for depression if it's defined well enough.
Right.
Sami, if we stop diagnosing ADHD, what do you do for those people who are struggling to focus, hold down a job, or even manage their daily lives?
I think there's a lot of things that we can do. I think the first thing that we do is that I'd like to see happen is for us to be able to accept each other as we are, rather than feeling that in order to find some comfort in who we are, we have to reach out for some sort of label.
There's good evidence that untreated ADHD leads to substance use problems, promotes depression, anxiety, and all that kind of thing. So trying to treat those aspects without treating the underlying disorder is a problem.
No, the evidence is not good on any of that. And I disagree very much about the characterization of amphetamine-like substances as being an effective treatment. And when you look at the long-term outcome studies, a very different picture emerges. Worse outcomes in terms of self-esteem, in terms of socialization. They end up with higher blood pressure. They often end up shorter and lighter. So these are things that come with a lot of side effects.
The issue here is...
I saw lots of expressions in Magenta before we go. I'll continue this wee bit, but... yes, thoughts. Like again, it's that kind of thing of like the clinical side of things, and like, yes, if we don't treat it,
he's got some good parts in there. He almost gets it a few moments.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's that talking about like the societal issues. Like, are we just stigmatizing? Are we putting people in boxes? Like I get with this guy who doesn't agree with the label. I get where he's coming from, but I think you have to have. It's not just both sides of the argument. I think it's the same argument.
Yeah.
It's the same argument of how do we deal with this issue that we as a society have called ADHD.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, my first thought was kind of like, could you imagine a world where neurodivergent people basically didn't have to fucking mask, could just live their goddamn lives and mostly medicate for, say, certain parts of these neurotypes that aren't fun, like meltdowns or hyperfocus, meaning that you don't eat for like a whole day or whatever the fuck. But I genuinely believe that we would see stark decrease in the amount of people needing antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication. Because for me, I was always getting diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am depressed and I am anxious, but they were symptoms of the undiagnosed neurodivergence. Like, imagine if I could live in a world where, like, I probably could go off my antidepressants. Like, that would be dope. That'd be so cool. But the world we have, not so much. And that's just, yeah, I think I agree with the basis of his sentiment, but yeah, there really needs to be a middle ground between the two. Like, the fact that he's trying to say, oh, I don't believe that we should be promoting amphetamines, he can't say that they don't help some people, because that other guy isn't saying, let's just give all ADHD people fucking dexamphetamine or whichever other type. He's saying, like, hey, there are some people that the medication works wonders for, absolutely changes their life, gives them the ability. Like, my best friend, his life has really changed since he got access to ADHD medication, or even just learning that he was ADHD, but then getting the medication on top of that has just absolutely changed everything for not just him, but him and his wife. Like, their relationship, once they learned, like, about, well, both of their neurodiversities, yeah, their lives have just gotten so much better because they can actually identify what's happening, accommodate, all of those things.
We'll listen to another minute of the back and forth between these two, because it's a fascinating interview. If you want to go and look it up, it's on the Herald's YouTube page. You can see the full thing in its full context. But keep going with this wee bit, because they talk a little bit more about the medical side of things. Yeah, it's always fascinating to hear the experts speak.
Is that everything is very individual. So if you've been treating adult ADHD patients for a few decades, you do get a sense of this. So absolutely, there are some patients who should not be treated with stimulants. Some people respond very well to the non-stimulants. There are a range of other options. You shouldn't be using medication without also looking at the behavioural aspects, looking at how people are organising their lives, helping with sleep. The medication is not very effective if people aren't sleeping well, so attention to sleep is very important, etc.
So you're agreeing, you and Sami agree on some basic things. I mean, I hear you saying that you agree that actually there are parts where you don't need to take medication.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I know that you're concerned about is equity in terms of being able to access the help that you need, whether that results in medication or not.
Look, that's right. And this is an important issue because if ADHD is real, which I think it is, because in my patients, I measure their attention.
Do you think it is, or do you know it is?
Well, what's real? You know what I mean? We can go off down a rabbit hole and...
or asking a psychiatrist what's real.
Well, no, if you look at, okay, so is ADHD a natural kind, if we want to go into, proper philosophy? Well, no, it's not, as it is a bunch of things lumped together. And so you can't treat everybody with ADHD in the same way.
So how, given that it...
I mean, that kind of brings the two of them to the same point, right? It's mental illness, things like bipolar and things like that, or just neurodivergent perhaps more so. I mean, the easiest ones I think for most people to conceptualize are autism and ADHD, but obviously neurodiversity is very is huge. It's not just a spectrum of things. It's the bubbles of interconnecting things. It's like Venn diagrams on steroids, but if you can think of it that way. But then you also have things like the likes of bipolar, where you have variable moods, and then you also have things like schizophrenia. Again, is kind of a little bit different because then you're going to go into psychosis and things like that. But it's kind of, but then you have anxiety and you have depression. All these are the things that are like, they are natural. A lot of them are natural. Well, they're natural to human beings. Like they are whatever it is, differences in our brains that do make us behave differently.
We need variety. Could you imagine how would we survive without a broad range of thinking and being? And doing. Like, it wouldn't make sense, you know? It wouldn't make sense for everyone to want to sleep on a 9 to 5 schedule, because then who the fuck's going to keep an eye out, you know? Like, if we think back to older times, you know, what were our
The
ancestors
hunter-gatherer.
doing? Not even just like hunter-gatherer, just literally our ancestors. Like, we need diversity. The same way we have biodiversity is really important. Like, diversity in our brains. Like, yeah, it creates some obviously issues, but it's important.
So yeah, it's an interesting conversation to go and have a look at. I think it's worth. I mean, this conversation is going to go on for forever. I think it really comes down to pathologizing neurodiversity and mental health issues versus not pathologizing it. Medication versus non-medication.
Well, that's where I feel like that's the problem,
overdiagnosing versus underdiagnosing.
But that's the problem inherently, is like we keep having these, it has to be this way or it has to be that way. Like, where is the little bit of column A, little bit of column B? Like, it's so frustrating. Like, middle grounds, you know, picking bits like the same way. I don't want to be a fucking superhero or an R word. Like, I just want to be a person who struggles with certain things without certain medications. Like, it's frustrating, and the conversation is just not the conversation I think that needs to be had directly. It's close, it's nearly there, but I think they're just missing it a little.
Yeah, but I think he leaves on a good point. It's as a clinician, for example, I think, but just in general, like, we should all look at people as their individuals and look at their individual cases and look at their individual responses to medication, whether or not they want medication or they don't. Like, just it's individualized. Some people want the label, some people don't. Some people disclose it, some people don't. Some people deal with it in different ways, and some people don't.
It helps, some people it doesn't. Like,
it's
if you don't want a label, you don't have to use one. But if people want to use a label to help them, like, live their lives better, fucking let them. My God, it's almost like the pronoun fucking bullshit, just with a different bloody coat of paint, really. Like, let people be.
Yeah. Well, that's it from that.
Yes.
Taking enough of your time.
We've only got 8 minutes, and I want to squeeze this last one in before we go.
No, go for it. You can take. I've taken up tons of time. So
no, you're fine.
All
you're
yours.
Fine.
Floor is yours.
I've seen a few people comment about it, so I thought I would, and not that one dude. So he's not getting what he wants. But I know you would have seen the news today about the cuts to Te Karere and the hui, which, yes, people I have seen the news. So I went and did a little bit of a mini dive. Because when I was looking into it, I thought, oh, there's a lot of different numbers going on here. So I made a timeline so that when I read off my prepared notes, you guys got some visuals. See, this is accessible. So basically, when I was looking at it, I started going through all the articles and realizing, oh, so this is actually something that has been warned against since 2020. And funnily enough, actually, Mihingarangi Forbes in 2020 posted on Twitter, "We hear plurality of voices, but not for Māori media sector. Where does this leave the hui and Te Karere and Marae TV?" And so, for a bit of context, that was in 2020, there was fears that a new, basically, flagship Māori news show and creating a hub for news was going to be introduced. It is actually, I can show you from Te Ao Pāpaho Māori. So that's the specific document that was basically outlining a way they wanted to create a new news hub that essentially, I guess, included Māori news in with other aspects, which, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, but the ways in which it has been suggested were concerning, because from what I was reading, it basically would make a one-stop shop for Māori news that could reduce the range of reporting in order to save money. So a lot of the concerns were that essentially they would have less funding and be able, and I guess have a more homogenous voice because they wouldn't have access to as diverse a range. And then we move to, fears the future of Te Karere Māori news is on the line. Rogers said that she knew money was tight. Each news show was made for as little as $9,000. So it sounds like they were already doing things on quite a budget. Then we move to the more media cuts over here in July. And it said here, in the last few years under the previous Labour government, we were given temporary time-limited funding to help accelerate the work that we were doing with digital as well as to support our kaihoe and our staff. Unfortunately, that funding runs out over the next 3 years. So the next financial year, we are set to lose 5.5 million, and the year after that, another 4. So a total of 9.5 million they were set to lose by 2027. But then in July, it was reported that they faced a $9.5 million funding decrease. So this decrease that we haven't even got there, that they had quite a few decreases on the way, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, so they had 9.5 million funding decreased over the next 3 years. Todima told media that after the meeting, it was a cut of 25%, which would mean significant changes in terms of what the service provider provides. And then we move to the funding agency in August. And in here they said Te Māngai Pāho was allocated $5 million of funding for 3 years to expand Māori regional news providers. And that funding would be expiring in June of 2026. Which then we go down, we find out that they were given $2 million to create that one-stop shop hub. However, when I looked at the announcement from earlier today, it seems that that's actually been reduced to 1.5 million. So yeah, it seems like the cuts have been basically, I guess, death by, well, not 1,000 cuts, but quite a few. And I just thought it was really interesting that Mihi she called it, because obviously the hui has been cancelled completely, which is just absolutely disgusting, to be honest. I was livid when I saw this today. And Te Karere has had, they've gone from 2.5 to 1 million. Like, that is a huge fucking drop. And so we also had the Greens put out a little media release, which I will just swap out for yous. But yeah, so Huhana Linden, the Green Party is gravely concerned about a major cut to funding for the flagship Māori News and Current Affairs program, Te Karere and the Hui by Te Māngai Pāho. This is a terrible outcome for Māori media and sadly consistent with the government's continual undermining of our culture. The complete gutting of funding from the hui is particularly galling, as it has been such an effective vehicle for telling stories that are uniquely Māori and which hold those in power account, which I thought was a really, really good point, because I believe it was the hui that did an interview with Tanya, and I think Tori went on there as well. So yeah, wahine Māori especially, that was a big side of it. And also just cutting Te Karere from 2.5 to 1 million is just insane. She goes on to say, our Media ecosystem is struggling in an environment of budget tightening under a government which can find billions of dollars in tax cuts for landlords and tobacco companies, but nothing for Māori news and current affairs. Te Karere has been delivering a quality national Māori news service on the mainstream media for 4 decades. So it is essential that Minister of Māori Development, Tama Pōtaka, step up and ensure this vital service is not lost. Tama Pōtaka, who has also been trying to distance himself from this entire debacle. And yeah, because actually I think it was in the Discord as well, someone brought up, like, you know, with these cuts to Te Karere, places like Wātea and ourselves are becoming more and more important as it goes, because this is huge. Like, we've already seen massive cuts, obviously, to TVNZ and the 3 that got sold or whatever the fuck. And so, yeah, this is just another attack, not on just media, but another fucking attack on Māori. And you know what? I'm fucking sick of it. But yeah, instead of investing more, cuts. And that's my story. I made it just in time.
Someone just brought up Miki Anangi always calls it. That's why they call her a conspiracy theorist.
Yep. She's our girl who knows about the Atlas Network and was calling David Seymour out for it. And that's the thing, is often wahine Māori are often at the forefront of these things, but because of the way that, you know, that profiling, that stigmatizing, Māori women who are outspoken and assertive in their knowledge are often treated like bad people who are, you know, it's like Salem witch bullshit, basically, but on crack, because they're women of color. And it's just, yeah, she's onto it, and I'm gutted to see this happen, but I'm also gutted to see that technically, I will point this out, this timeline does start in 2020, which means this did start under the Labour government, which I'm also very disappointed to see. But it does seem like there has been some acceleration, as with most things with this government, in terms of the fact that the cuts have been coming a lot faster. So yeah, and also fair point, like mess, too Americanized. But yes, that is the story, and I hope we see more coming out of that, because I'm not happy.
Unfortunately, a story that seems to be quite buried at the moment. Under everything else going on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is there's so many things going on, so that's why I was like, oh, would love to do that. We do have our last memes at least, and I had a couple of tiny little things if we want to watch them. They're like a minute long.
Sure thing. And then we got super chats as well that we need to go through.
Yes. Oh yes, we're getting a jump scare warning. Yeah, I thought it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's I don't even, you know, like, the Nussie. We got Guardians of the Future Fund, and Cyber Goblin for this beautiful, beautiful edit. And making it, should Ruth Richardson's eventual grave be turned into a public bathroom? Absolutely not. Hell yes. Or sure, but only if we call it euthanasia. That gave me such a good giggle when I saw that. Bonus memes. Us taking a break from mental health to focus on social media. That's topical tonight. Man discovering that the Canterbury logo is just 3 Kiwi birds has world turned upside down. It's me. I am the man It was me. I discovered it. I didn't know. Okay. You're from Christchurch, so fair enough.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not. I'm from Southland, but I mean, Canterbury shorts were fucking
close
everywhere.
enough. Yeah.
You weren't a Southlander unless you had your Canterbury short stubbies and your track pants.
I saw them everywhere, but my brain it just sort of weird looking kind of sea, I guess. And a bunch of people in the Discord also had not seen that before, so I'm very glad that I wasn't the only one.
It's okay.
Some of us were raised by drag performers fighting false kings, and it shows. Also, fun fact that you won't remember: kia ora, kia ora, kia ora, kia ora is the proper sentence. Hello, yes, thanks, be well. The lioness does not concern herself with the pile of clothes she moves between bed and chair every day. And thou shalt not judge. Oh, yes. Apparently, Melbourne has 12 seasons. You got winter, full spring, second winter, spring of deception, the swooping, the pollinating, actual spring, summer, hell, false autumn, second summer, actual autumn. And when two men mansplain to one another, that is called a podcast. There were some podcast memes and I kind of was vibing them. Musicians, what if nobody wants to listen? Podcasters. Yeah, so I'm at the supermarket the other day and the cashier is really taking her time. Oh shit, I hate that, bro. Yeah, and I mean, I've got ice cream right on this conveyor belt and she knows it. Oh shit, I hate that, bro. I really do be like, though. Study. Hate clicks are a major source of web traffic. And also, The Princess Bride is a trash movie that only stupid people like. So you should comment on this video to tell us how outraged you are by that statement. And to end, apparently it costs the NHS over £300,000 a year to remove foreign objects from people's rectums. Why aren't we removing British objects instead? Was Brexit all for nothing? I agree. Where's the equality? This is that privilege. And this is that privilege. All right, let's show you, for the people who are still hanging out, we will show you some cool little videos so that we don't have bad taste in our mouth. We'll go this one first. Because this one is so fucking cool. Basically, there's just a bunch of French teens who are turning off the lights at stores at night to save power. And I just think using parkour for your left-wing vigilantism is just so fucking cool.
I didn't even know that you could... Oh, they're emergency switches.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out. I was like, well, I didn't realize they'd have them outside, but yeah, apparently they do. And I just fucking love this because honestly, especially as someone who lives in a big city, I fucking hate seeing how much lights get left on in offices and just general shops. It fucking absolutely just sends me. So just seeing people do these hundy parkours for the greater good is just very heartwarming. So that's your first one. And then we've got your last one, which will be, I'm going to reset it because this lady talks a little bit. I turn it up and yeah, I am on the screen. Cool.
Be a harmless hobby. But what if I told you it's been used as a weapon for espionage
Knitting.
for over a century? Let's go through the history of knitting spies through the ages. Picture South Africa during the Boer War. Women sat on porches knitting while British troops marched past. But those socks and scarves they were making, they weren't just for warmth. Every stitch, every row was secretly recording troop numbers and supply movements. Their knitting became a codebook that the enemy would never suspect. If you fast forward to World War I in Belgium, women sat by railway lines knitting as trains went by. A knit stitch for one kind of train, a purl stitch for another. Entire scarves became records of German military activity passed to the resistance as innocent gifts of wool. How cool is that? And by World War II, knitting was so suspicious that governments actually started banning mailing knitting patterns, worried that they were coded messages. In the Netherlands and Belgium, resistance fighters coded sweaters using rows of knits and pearls standing in for dots and dashes like Morse code woven into their fabrics. One of the famous knitting spies that is more well-known was Phyllis Latour. She parachuted into occupied France and disguised herself as a 14-year-old girl with her knitting basket. And what looked like simple stitch work in her knitting basket was actually Morse code errors built into her patterns. And she sent over 100 messages to the Allies, guiding bombing raids and saving countless lives. And during this time, even the U.S. started to grow nervous. Soldiers' families were warned not to send socks.
Oh, be afraid of those beanies. They're the beanies from the comrades. It's the communist beanies and scarves. But no, I mean, such a cool story. And I think also Tiffany pointed out a really good point, is it's like very similar to how slaves in black slaves would do this with their cornrows. So a lot of those had, maps or different messages and codes. And I mean, also another way to kind of remind us that, while men may have gone off to fight in the war, the women kept that shit going too. You know what I mean? And also, I love a good because it reminded me of the crocheters that I saw in Portland. There were some Portland crocheters, so that kind of gave me a similar energy, and I thought it was just a fun little fact. Speaking of fun little facts, I'll get rid of my bloody comments that I started. Apparently, Tuesday is the 190th anniversary of the signing of He Whakaputanga, which is very exciting, and thank you for letting us know about that. Also, apparently Duncan Garner is upset with BHN now. He must be pissy whiskey because Pat said something. That's just so funny. I'm just really happy to hear that, honestly.
When did Pat not say something to piss him off? Or someone else?
I think it was a bit more directed. It was a bit more directed this time. Also, not many inflatable animals at our mega strike. To be fair, those things are expensive. I don't think any of us can afford it.
Next time.
And also, M's, Mage, and Dunk could be our radio station name, which I think would be really badass. And honestly, I reckon we could rock that. And a good point is that if you're long-term unemployed, it's really good to use that time to be the one who can read those stupid fucking bills and submissions. Also, Angie apparently sent us a sticker, but it couldn't comment. So, yes, I saw support for Hannah's bill. I don't know if you saw that today. Yep, we have seen. Thank you. Also, social media did exist when Kiwi Bird was a kid, and they still have ADHD, which I agree, because then there was also this comment. Tell us you have ADHD without telling us. Make BHN go till midnight. Yeah, that's Friday show. That's Friday show in a nutshell.
We can do what we want.
All right. Do you want to read out our things, or do you want me to do it?
Super chats?
Yeah.
I will read through them. It's in the ballot. $5 says the coalition in opposition opposed truncated, shortened select committee process. Coalition used it more than other parliament in combined. I need commas. That made no sense to me. But yes, thank you for your comment. Mr. Alex, for $10, thank you. Just letting people know next year, people who receive the supported living payment and etc. I'll just do this. The supported living payment and etc. from WINS, they will have to fill out the yearly confirm your circumstance form. It's time to fight back. Fuck, what a pain in the ass.
More bullshit.
Also, another $10, thank you. There are also people who think the confirming your circumstance form is just the annual review. It's much different. People have to fill out the form yearly if they want to be supported. Fuck, that's so dumb. Hey,
I'm permanently disabled.
Magenta is,
Remind me every 12 months.
Are you still paralyzed from the neck down? Just wanted to double check. You still need this money to live off of? Are you still
You
missing
sure
your
you
limb?
can't walk to that interview?
Yeah, you sure? Are you still missing that limb that's doesn't enable hinders you from working? Have you still got that brain? You know, the brain that has the issues that makes you like see and hear things and makes you want to murder people. So you kind of like just became a recluse. This is a really niche example. I'm sorry. Just prove that again to us that you're still the same person with that condition. That would be great.
Literally.
Are you still stuck in a wheelchair and you can't work? Just wanted to double check. You'll have to just get your doctor confirm that you're still in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Fucking
because
hell.
you're clearly gonna be a liar who just wants to sit on a benefit that barely fucking pays for anything. So you're constantly worrying about whether you can fucking afford to, I don't know, buy rubbish bags this week. No, I did just buy rubbish bags, but my God, they're $20, okay? Hard. Also, I believe there is no show on Monday, I think. Do you know?
Don't know.
I don't know if he confirmed it, but I feel like he's probably going to take Labor Day off, unless he feels
Probably
like he
will.
misses us too much because he wasn't here on Thursday. So, assume no. But if you get a show, cool. I think we've got a couple more in here. Oh, yeah. If ADHD is so cool, why haven't they made AD 4K? To be fair, I think there are some people who definitely have AD 4K, like where the ADHD is just on another level. So, I believe that is all of our chats.
Yep, I think we're at our longest episode
Fucking
yet.
hell.
And we're going to have to
ADHD.
jump out of here. Otherwise, I'll be up till midnight. And then I'll be up till 3 a.m. trying to edit the show. So,
right.
Fun times.
Good luck. Good luck for Em. Give Em's good luck to the chat. She's going to fucking need it.
Probably. All right. It's been a fun show. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. I hope you were able to catch up after your missing episode yesterday. And I guess keep an eye on the YouTube posts and all sorts to whether or not there'll be a show on Monday.
Oh, I see. Okay. So if there's no BHN, apparently me and Detective Rogers are doing Aotearoa tonight for 3 hours. You know what? I'm fucking down. Let's do it. If there's no
There you go.
BHN on Monday, come hang out at Aotearoa tonight. We'll be... I don't know. This guy gives me 50... So you think it's better? I get 15-page documents of our shows because the neurodiversity is going a little hard in a certain direction on our side. It's great, though.
I give you 3 bullet points. I'd count yourself lucky then.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have an outro to play up.
Sure do.
And some people to entertain. Let's go.
F's in the chat for N.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All heavily, either this way or that, and will be analyzed by what Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
Thanks for watching tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we entertained you on this Friday evening and you learned something new. And I hope you have a wonderful long weekend. Magenta.
Yeah, hopefully we made up for the missing episodes because Pat did not have any power. But also remember the QR code, go vote for us in the podcast awards, and come over to Aotearoa tonight. We're Aotearoa tonight on all socials. Come hang out with us on Monday, alright? Keep cool.
Wonderful. And we'll see you next week. Next Friday, it's Halloween. Look forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
I got a plan, guys. You're gonna want to be there. You're gonna want to be there
for that. All right, have a wonderful weekend, Jenny. Bye.